Well, here we are, friends and fans of Bob's Barn Workshop. We are about to start the epic journey again here. Of course, I had a contractor build the main framing, so they are done basically. They're going to come back and do a little landscaping around here, build a ramp to drive up into. But now it's my turn. I have to take over the siding, the wiring, the insulation, the ceiling, and we bought steel for the ceiling because it will span the 4 feet between the trusses, and that's a one and done thing. So that's why I'm doing that. It's also fireproof. I do have high bay lighting going in here. I got my new fancy LiftMaster electric door opener. It's all tied into Wi-Fi. I can open the door and close the door and check the door from any place in the world, which is kind of cool. So we're going to do that. I bought most of the equipment for doing the wiring. I got all my boxes here. I need to rough the wiring in. To do that, I'm going to have to go up through the sill here into the roof. I'm going to have a set of 3 switches from here to 3 switches over there for 3-way lighting. I don't know if I'm going to put them on this side or I'm just going to go here and make it simple. Maybe I'll just put them right here. Because if I'm working in the barn workshop doing some woodworking and it gets dark out, I come out here, it's going to be pitch black and I need to get across here. So if I have a 3-way switch that turns on the first row of lights, I can walk across and go out the man door and turn my light off. Well, that's the plan. And let's see. I've got my big compressor in the back. I need to run a 220 line to that. I'm going to have the lift in this general area, this quarter of the barn over here. So I need to bring a line up here, 220, so I can drop a cord down eventually and power that. And otherwise, I'm just going to put outlets. I'm probably going to put 2 or 3 sets of doubles there, maybe 4 here, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there. So I'm going to have like 7 boxes there. Alternating circuits so that there will be, you know, I'll have 2 heavy duty circuits. That'll be more than enough outlets. I don't plan on any big equipment in here. Maybe a grinder or something once in a while, but it's only me. So. And then along this wall, I'm going to have all my benches. So I'm going to put another run of, I figured the easiest way to do it was surface mounted MC cable, which is that metal cable. And I'm going to run a metal cable for a separate outlet for my MIG welding. So the MIG welder will have a separate outlet. And I just got to tag off in something to get power to that opener. So maybe I'll put a separate circuit, I don't know. And I was thinking about that light. That light is funny, it's wireless. So all it needs is to plug in somewhere. So I was thinking about putting an outlet up here. And there is a motion detector in the push button. So if I come in here at night, that light will light up for me so I can walk across. And that might work fine, whatever. But and the next thing is I can hang a row of fluorescent lights right on the front edge of that, right over my workbenches, which are going to be all along here. My welding table, my drill press, my grinder, such stuff like that's going to go right here. So the toolboxes and stuff. So that'll be a good place for it. And that'll give me a way to hang my light fixtures. The only problem I have is I'm going to have to make a hole up there somewhere where you see that 2x4 coming out of the old shingles. I'll probably just take a hole saw and cut a big hole, and then I got to drill down through the plate and down through into the ceiling below so I can run my wires. I'm going to take the sheeting off this side. The panel's right there, you know, right below where it says Typar. And the original panel, you can see the electric box, the LBs coming out of the ground there. So it's right above there, right under the red house shape. And so I'm going to come up through the top with, I don't know, I guess I'll just cut a 2-inch hole or something like that. I was thinking about running some kind of chase, like a piece of 2-inch pipe. But you know, the damn code is so weird, they might not like you putting a few Romexes through a piece of 2-inch pipe side by side. They're weird about stuff like that, even if it's just a chase. I also hung a couple of my high bay lights up in here, just on a couple of nails. There's going to be 6, and they're going to be on these same beams, I think. So, but there's just going to be 2, one every 8 feet. So, you know, one up there and one up there, and we're at that one on the center beam and that one on this one. They have a very wide dispersion zone. It's just easier to hook them on those trusses. I guess I could put a board between the trusses and then be able to move them where I want. Maybe I'll do that. I think maybe put them 7 feet out from each edge so they're 10 feet apart. And then 8 feet apart this way, maybe even a foot out this way and a foot out towards the other way, just to get the cones of light closer to the walls, you know. Take it up here, put it about 18 inches out farther this way. They produce enough light that they're going to be fine anyway. Tons of light in here. That's all. All right, guys. Well, I have just revealed the back of the panel box, and I just did it with my Buzzy tool there, one of those vibrating oscillator cutting tools, and I just went across the bottom and up there, and the piece came out so good. When I get the new panel in, that piece is going right back in, so that'll be great. I ran a wire, my first wire for my first set of receptacles. I've got some of that new 12-4 that has 2 neutrals and 2 hots. So that's perfect. I just ran it right up above the soffit edge here. Come right down into the wall here into this first outlet. Then I'm going to just daisy chain them all the way around. So that's my first string of receptacles. And I've got to run, other than that, I got to run a 12-2 up to the ceiling about here, because I think my lift is going to go about here, over there in that corner. And I've got to run a 12-2 down for my air compressor. So I may leave the air compressor just right there on the corner all the way. Right now it's on a cart, which makes it easy to push around where I want to put it. So I bought MC cable, which is the metal coated cable. And on this wall, I'm not going to cut outlets into the wall. I'm just going to come out of the panel box. And actually what I'll do is I'll notch this right here and come out with my first circuit. And I'll come out with my outlet for, I'm going to put a single one on a single circuit for the welder. And then I'll just have that MC there. And so maybe I'll run that MC, I've got a lot of it left. Maybe I'll just run that down up high and drop down to this compressor. Because I don't know why they've got this hooked up with 12-3 wire. They use the white wire for the chassis ground, which is wrong. Don't do that. The only ground you should use is the bare copper wire or the one that's coated in green insulation. Green is ground. I may just get a new pressure switch. All right. Because I want to do that. So all my wires are going to go up above the edge of the soffit there. In case I ever decide to box that back in, all my wires will be covered. Sweet? Sweet. All right. Wiring next. I've also come up with a new idea for this. I was going to replace that panel that is you're just seeing the back of the panel in the original barn. I took the siding off the outside here, the OSB. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this panel box, the new panel box, and I'm just going to run a nipple, basically a piece of pipe, if you don't know what a nipple is, a short piece of pipe between the back knockout, between the back knockout on this panel, straight out into the back of that panel. I'll put this wood back on first after I put that nipple in, and put the new panel right over the top of it. That way, it's what's called a sub panel. And This one will have like a 60 amp breaker on it. It'll be more than enough for what I'm doing out here. That's the simplest and fastest. Then I don't have to move all these wires into the new panel. I don't have to wire them all up. Everything just goes in with that one breaker and the one nipple through to set it up and feed it, backfeed this panel. And I've already got the wire pulled out here, which went up for the welder receptacle over here for the 50 amp welder receptacle. Now this was on the other side of the wall, but I measured, cut a small hole here, fished the wire back through, and now I can put my receptacle right over the hole. And we'll be all set and good to go. All right. That's what I'm doing sometime soon too. I got to get the wiring in here done next because the next project is to get this ceiling up so I can put the car lift in. See, it's all like a row of dominoes. You got to get one first before the next. And I certainly don't want to try to work around the car lift to get the ceiling up. All right. All right, well, it's Sunday and I'm working on the electric because I can't move my scaffold by myself. So what I've done is I put that piece of OSB that I cut out to get to the back of the panel back in, and I stuffed it all full of insulation so it's well insulated. I made a back-to-back PVC 1.5" nipple here out of 2 connectors, a short piece of EMT pipe, not EMT, plastic pipe. And that goes in, comes out of the back of the main panel. I figured it was a lot simpler to leave the main panel alone. I'll put my new breaker in the bottom corner, feed through up to the main breaker of the other one, and that would just be basically what you call a sub panel. I got my ground wire to connect between them, and a red and black and a white, so it's all color coded according to the Hoyle. And I think I'll run my white wire back up around near the lug, so I'm not running my neutral current through the whole neutral bar in here. You know, it's just me, but I think I want to do that. I'll run it over the top. I'll bring it up out of the pipe, up and over around the top of the box, and into that lug right below the main lug. It should fit. It's a number 6, so it looks like it would fit in that lug. All right, you big lug. And pretty soon I'll have power in this box. And as soon as I have power in this box, I can drop in my line for my receptacles around the room here. And I will therefore turn on all my receptacle power here. So I got receptacles over here. I don't have to run it through the windows anymore. And then I can start running my home runs for my power to other things. And here I gotta run an outlet and power up to my door lift, and it needs a light socket out here in the middle somewhere so I can move that light. So it points down when you come in the door. That door button over there has a motion sensor in it, so as you come in the door it senses motion. It would turn that light on for me. So that's kind of nice. Or if I come out in the dark, after it gets dark, it should see me and turn on. So it might make my 3-way light switches redundant, but I'm going to do that anyway. All right. So that's where we're at. I just screwed this down with 6 nice screws, 7, nice and tight. And I've got lock rings, lock nuts, I guess, and bushings here. So, well, let me set you up on the stand. Now, as I've told you guys before, I used to be a professional electrician. I had my own company, so I've been doing this stuff all my life. So this is just gravy work for me. I know some of you guys, some people are not familiar with it and they're afraid of electricity. Well, this panel is dead right now, so it's nothing to worry about. There's no power to it at all. So there's the nipple coming through from the other side. And I got to put a lock nut on it. I've got these all at the big box store everybody loves. The big orange box store. Okay. Now, electrician's punch and hammer is his lineman's plier and his screwdriver. So we tighten up the lock nut. Used to be back in the day the conduit was the ground, but they, don't allow that anymore. So it's basically just there for protection. So I've got that snugged up. We got a plastic bushing. Even though that's plastic pipe, the edge is a little square, so this bushing is to protect the edges of the wire. I got one on the other side. And okay, our feed through to the main panel to the sub panel is now finished. And what I'm going to do, I'm sweating, I'll tell you that. It's warm, warm, warm today. So what I need to do is this being a sub panel, you need to separate the neutral bar, which goes up and over here too, these are all neutrals, to the ground. Well, this didn't have ground lugs in it, so I installed these ground lug bars. That's for your bare copper and green wires. They have to be separated in a sub panel. When this panel that exists in the barn already was put in, it was done under the code where I could run 3 wires to it without a bonding ground wire and add a ground rod out here at the location. So that's what we have. We have a ground rod at the barn grounding the neutral at this end. So that's what we got here. But after this, as I said, for a sub it has to be separated. And also this is an Eaton panel, and according to the code you can't mix brands of circuit breakers. So we'll see how that goes. I already have a 50. We'll see if they ding me on it. I can't, I've got my welder here that I want to install. And, well, let's start first with the bonding ground. Okay, so I was lucky to find at Home Depot, of course, properly colored number 6 copper wire. Neutral, black is usually phase 1, red is phase 2, and a green bonding wire. So what we are going to do is we're going to shove this bundle through here right now. It's hanging out on the other side. Now I know that's overkill, the size of that pipe, but that's the size of the nipples I could find. So this is our bonding wire. So he's just going to come up and go into one of these lugs. So I am going to strip this about, I don't know, 5/8 of an inch. Like so. Bring him up and put him now. You notice this grounding bar is screwed right directly into the metal box, and that's as it should be. These 2 big screws bond it electrically to that metal box. So that's basically how your ground goes, your bonding ground. Now I want the neutral to come up here, so I'm going to loop that up around. Try to make it pretty, guys. That doesn't even need to be stripped or cut. Again, that needs to be a little over, so I'm going to make that 3/4 of an inch. Now I'm just scoring the insulation with the knife, and then I'm cutting it off on the side like that to loosen it. I don't want to damage any of my conductors. So this is an Allen wrench thing. My straight screwdriver does fit it. So I'm dropping that dude in there. I'm going to have to tighten that up with a proper Allen wrench later. But there you go. Now my neutral is tied into the main neutral lug for this box. All right, so now what do I have left? I have black and red. All right, so I always like to put the black on the top. So I got lots of slack. This is moving in and out. So I'm going to, yeah, there's plenty of room on this side. Let me cut this loose on this side. Cut loose. I probably brought too much wire, but I want to make sure I had enough. Now I always do what you call a service loop in the wire. Here, maybe this is better over here. I always do what's called a service loop. So I like to run it up, over, and then into the breaker. That gives you room to move things around if you have to. Now these breakers only require about a 1/2 inch of stripping. So again, I'm just circling the wire lightly. I'm not cutting all the way through to the conductors. Slip it you can slit it lengthwise like that, and then you peel it off. All right. Now these are screw terminals. Put her all the way into the connector. Now that's a 100 amp breaker. Now you guys might not understand how I can put wire that's good for 60 amps onto a 100 amp breaker. Well, that's because the breaker that's feeding this is going to be a 60 amp. So this is basically just the disconnect switch. And I'll leave it off for now. Now what we'll do is we'll dress our wires up nice here on the bottom. Now this stuff's awful springy, so it's going to be tough to make it pretty. But now you can see nice loop, loops in. Going to do the same thing with the red. So I shall strip it first. And I'll come back and tighten these up a little more when I get them service looped in here where I want. Springy stuff anyway. All right, tuck him right up in there. Now they don't want you to have these wires exposed so the copper is outside the protection of the breaker, so I've got to cut that a little shorter. Okay, so I'm going to cut, I don't know, 3/16 or so off in this. Like that. I am having this inspected, so there we go. Nice and tight. Nice and tight. Okay. I might put there you go. That's perfectly fine. I mean, you could make it neater, I suppose. So, okay, this whole side is tied in now. Our neutral to the neutral bar, which I need to find an Allen wrench for, which I might have right here. And let's see if we got one. Okay, I think I found the right size Allen wrench for this. Yep. Put a good reef on that. There we go. So that's now nice and tight. The bonding ground screw is not screwed through to the box. So it isn't dependent on the neutral in this box for the bonding ground. I know it sounds confusing, but you really have to have your ground based on the ground rods of your main service. All right, so that box is now installed. We could go ahead and put the welder in, and I think I'm going to run him. Let's see, how much room have we got? Can we run him to the top? Yes, we can. It's really nice to put the bigger power wires close to the main breakers. I don't know why. That way you're not depending on the length of these buses to supply all the current. I know they're supposed to be able to and all that, but still. Oh, and sometimes you got to be careful prying out these knockouts because you'll pull the wrong ring down with it. So I like to try to force it in between and do that. And now can I get it in from the bottom? Yeah. Okay, so now you grab the two halves with your big pliers and rock back and forth, and hopefully you don't fatigue out the other one, which I didn't. So that knockout is the correct size for what I need now. And remember to take the lock nut off in your cable. Carefully feed them up through. Now I already moved I guess I showed you the other day that I already moved the come on, oh, crap. I gotta loosen this connector up enough to twist it on the wire here. There we go. So I can get to the screws. Okay. Now my AC welder connector is installed. I guess I showed you that I moved that yesterday, or the other day anyway. My big screwdriver here is really beat. Come on. Alright, I guess that's good enough. Tighten the clamps up. Don't over tighten them on the cable either, just snug. You don't want to cut through the insulation and into conductors, you know. I had that happen on an octagon box. One of the octagon boxes with the clamps built in, and it forces it over the edge of the incoming hole. Yeah, cut right through the wire. So, word to the wise, be careful. All right. Now this green, or this twisted wire on this cable is not neutral. That is just a bonding ground because it's a true 220 volt circuit. So we don't want that to go to the neutral. We want that to go to the bonding ground. So I'm gonna cut this guy off here. And twist him up. And see if I can slip him right in there. Right next to the bonding ground wire. Get that out all the way. So I got plenty room. Plenty. Get him out of the way for a second. Alright. Get my needle nose, which are missing. Come on, get in there. It's just big enough, I think. My needle nose are probably in my probably knocked you down out of the way. I'm trying to get this bonding ground wire up into this lug. Yep, there she goes. There she goes. All right. Push that guy back. So this is just the ground to the chassis of the welder. So if the 220 volts gets lost or loose in there, that it won't go crazy on you. All right, I'm going to steal the breaker out of this panel. And I'm going to put him right here on the top. I got little legs that fit under there, and that pushes in just easy, just like that. Did you see that? There's grooves here, there's hooks here. You back it into the hooks, straddle the hot leads, and snap it over. So there we've got our 50 amp breaker installed. And I'm not going to cut these wires at all. I'm just going to twist them together nice. Now these are copper and aluminum compatible connectors in these breakers. So I don't have to put no-lox compound on them. I gotta cut that off a little bit. Not a lot of wire sticks out. I don't know if the inspector would ding you for that, but they might. Depends on the inspector. Now this is a Siemens brand breaker, and this is a Eaton panel, so I'm hoping I get some forgiveness on that. I don't want to have to go spend 50 bucks on a new breaker or something. All right, good. I'm going to cut the ragged end off in this wire anyway. And I'm going to tighten it up a little bit with my pliers. Pliers, porcupine. And back that screw out a little more. Wiggle it around, get it in there nice and deep. And tighten it up. Now it's easy to tighten up on these aluminum wires because the aluminum is nice and soft. And basically most house services, what's called the SE cable, the service entrance cable, is aluminum. All right, so now we have our 50 amp in for our welder. All right, now I know that's awful close to the main feed for this panel, but seeing that I'm only one guy and I can only run one machine at a time, it's not like it's a production shop with all these machines running at the same time, so it's just going to be me. So I don't worry about overloading that at all. Okay, so there we go. There's our first 220 thing in here. I'm going to pop in a couple more. Excuse me. Ugh. Breakers to take up the spot. Because I need I need 20 amps for, now these are Eaton breakers. 20 amps for my car lift, and I'm going to need 20 amps for the compressor. So I'm just trying to get the heavy load stuff at the top. And the rest of these circuits are for outlets and such. So we're going to pause for just a minute. All right, I dug up my 20 amp circuit breakers here. Let's see. I got one, two circuits around here, and I got 2 on this wall. That's a 15. I don't want the 15 in there. Got 2. On this wall. And then I've got let's mix these up because I don't want them on the same phase. It don't matter. Put these 2 here and put the 2 15s over here. They will be on opposite phases then. See, if you look down these bars, you got your black and red wire coming in. And that, say, is a black phase, that's a red phase. That's a black phase, that's a red phase. So if you got 2 circuits that you think are going to be drawing power a lot, you want them on opposite phases so it balances the load on your service. And that's just enough breakers for what I need in this room as far as I know. I'm going to have a 15 amp receptacle circuit for the door opener. And I'm going to have a 15 amp circuit for the lighting. And the 6 receptacle circuits. And I think that's it. And then I got my compressor and my car lift. So yep, that's all my breakers right there. The whole box is full. So now, you know, I can start wiring in circuits if I want. I don't have any receptacles. I got to go get receptacles because I've got 8, 9 that go here in these boxes. Each box has a double in it. And then the boxes that go around the perimeter of the room have 2 each in it. And those are on separate circuits around the room. So each box has like a left and a right circuit, you know, on the same circuit. And then this center outlet right here is going to have 1 receptacle, and this is going to be my AC 110 welder circuit. So that is going to be one of the breakers separately. There's all my breakers. They gave me that's the 60, that's for this other side. They snap in just fine. And it's not something that's drawing power all the time. All right, so sorry, didn't see me do that. I just snapped in these 2 lower breakers. Now I have all the breakers in here, but still think about it. There's 1, 2 wires, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10 wires coming in here. 2 of which are coming this way, because I'm going to go right to these boxes with MC cable. I'm going to go do MC cable right down through here. And I think I'm going to run an MC cable up through the soffit down to that air compressor. And that'll be all my MC. And I can have those outlets working. I just got to go get outlets. I'm not really dirty right now. I really should just go do it and get them put in. Wouldn't that be cool? Get them put in and then fire the thing up. I got to run some wire, as I said, for my garage door opener. I think for the garage door opener, you can see through the ladder here, sorry. I'm going to put one on the wall over here. Just a convenience outlet. I don't know why. I'm just going to put a box there, put an outlet in this corner. And then I'm going to run up and put one near the opener, near that light. You notice that outlet box right there used to be the outside porch light, basically, door light for this door. And the switch still exists and it still works. And over at Harbor Freight, you can buy those 4 feet LED shop lights. I think I'm going to hang them right along 3 or 4 of them right along the bottom of this soffit. switch by that switch. So when I want to work on the workbench, yeah, I'll have to reach inside the door here and put the switch on. That'll turn my bench lights on. I'm going to have this wall is where most of the bench is going to be. The metal working welding bench is going to be right here. There's just going to be a big other workbench down there for like whatever. Grinding, put my drill press on it, that kind of a thing. For metal working, I'll have my grinders and stuff in here. My car toolboxes will probably go down there on the end because the lift is going to be over in that corner.